Hello my friend, Matt from Best Friends Club here. Today we are going to be doing a track review of the song Fairfax by Subjoi. We'll jump right into it right after the drop. Alright, before we jump right into the track review, before we jump into the track review, make sure you like and subscribe and do all that other stuff if you want to hear more cool track reviews and stuff like that. But with that said, we'll jump straight into the first listen. This track, I'm a big fan of Subjoi's previous material, probably just like anybody else who's into this kind of music. The Way I Feel and Love Shy are huge tracks, so I'm definitely hoping for something more in that vein. It looks like he's dropped 2 songs in the last couple days, so it looks like it's leading up to some kind of EP. In fact, it definitely looks like it's going to be some kind of EP called Hawaii, potentially. So that will be cool, and hoping for some dancey vibes, a little bit more upbeat, and then kind of that lo-fi style, going back to kind of that vintage style. So enough rambling, we're going to go into the first listen right now. Alright, so first impressions, I'm kind of mixed on it. So at first, the first like maybe 20 seconds of it, I didn't really like it. The drum sounds weren't really connecting with me, and then the like distorted bass sound or kick drum sound that comes in pretty immediately after that, wasn't too much of a fan of that. However, then my opinion shifted quickly once like the chords and the really awesome rhythm of the chords came in. I really like the sound and I really like the rhythm of it. And the kind of jazzy vibe that's usually pretty typical in this type of music. Really liked that though. And I really liked the vocal sample at first. And then it kind of got really repetitive. There's a lot of just like the word yeah repeating a million times, and then like Ben Hendem Luckham or something like that just repeats so much throughout the whole track. So when it first came in, I really liked it. I was like, yo, this is a cool vibe. And then over time, it just got a little repetitive. That's at least my first impressions of it. Also throughout it, my perception of the drums changed. I ended up liking them quite a bit, especially the kick is quite present and pounding. However, that's really all that's going on in the low end from what I could tell. There is some bass. At this moment I can't tell if it's tastefully quiet or if it's just too quiet. So I think for this one, it's definitely going to take a couple more listens for me to really get my opinion on it. Kind of leaning towards not digging the track, but also there's elements of it that I do quite like. So I am still in quarantine here in Mississauga, Ontario at my dad's house, so I'm going to be working from home today, and I'll listen to this track maybe 4 or 5 more times. I might go out on a walk and maybe listen to it in a different environment as well, and I'll come back to you with a full, deeper track review of this tune. Alright, so I had the chance to listen to this track maybe 5 more times, and unfortunately I'm sad to say that I just could not get into this one. I listened to it a couple different varieties, like on a smart speaker, on good speakers, on like laptop speakers, on headphones, all sorts of different ways to listen to it, but it all kind of hit the same. And I guess I'll describe to you kind of how this song impacted me, and I want to preface that by saying in no way do I think that the artist is not capable and good. I actually like quite a few of Subjoi's tracks, but this one I just couldn't gel with, and so the journey for me at least is you start listening to the track and it has not the greatest drum sounds, not digging them, and then like kind of like a ravey techno kind of mall grabby sound comes in the low end, like maybe a bass drum or a kick drum, and it just doesn't sound that good. Like it kind of sounds like it's biting on the mall grab sound but not pulling it off at all. Fortunately, that sound goes away into the first breakdown eventually, where there's kind of vocal parts teasing in, which is cool, and then it does get to that breakdown where things kind of mellow out, chords are introduced, and a couple of different vocal lines come in. There is one that's kind of just saying yeah, and then one that's saying like Ben and Yuckum or something like that. And when those first come in, especially when those chords come in, the sound of the chords, the rhythm of the chord sounds super cool. It's a very nice change of pace, especially after what I thought was not a very good intro. So it sounds really cool. And then the different vocals are creating like they're very repetitive, but they're also creating a very cool rhythm, and they're catchy. And then the first drop comes in, and I love it. Like both of the two vocal lines are playing off each other, and the chords are also playing, and it with the entire structure of the song, the composition going down, it sounds full and it sounds good, and it's very enjoyable. The bass, again, like I mentioned it in my first impression, is very quiet, and I think it's to a detriment, but I'll get into that later. And then unfortunately what happens is the drop is going for a while and it sounds pretty good. Then the vocals get pulled back and it's just the chords, but then they kind of come back in again, and then there's like not a full breakdown, but kind of a spot where the chords are coming in and out and vocals are coming in and out, and I'll be straight up honest, it sounds like he was running out of ideas and trying to pad out the length of the song by just pulling things in and out. It didn't sound like it was done with intent. It sounded like it was done to just hit the 6 to 7 minute mark of a house track. And I get it, like I've done that before too, and not like, oh, like I'm so great compared to what I do, but like being a producer too, I can understand being in that headset, but it's just like hearing some of his other tracks where he's done it so masterfully that like it'd be hard for anybody else to do it as good as he does. Just to hear them do it like that, I don't know, it was kind of a letdown. And then that really drags to the main point where there's that chord section, which sounds great, and then there's the two vocal lines, and that's basically it. And it's not enough to carry a tune for 6 or 7 minutes or whatever the length of the tune is. It's just not enough elements. Bringing them in like with very slight changes, like maybe a filter is cutting off the highs and slowly coming in. Sure, that's something, but there's no like, I didn't pick up on any small movements in the sound design of the chords. It sounded like the exact same sound of the chords and the exact same pattern of the chords for the whole thing. It gets super repetitive, and it's not enough to be drawn out that long. And I think this might be my first critical review, but unfortunately it is what it is. And I want to say again that I do really appreciate the artist, and I do love quite a few of his tracks. Just this one was a letdown to me, and I'm still going to be excited when I see new ones coming up, and maybe after listening to this more I will somehow like it, but it's just too repetitive. There's not enough sounds throughout, and it just doesn't seem like a 6-7 minute song can be justified with the elements of this song. So I don't want to go on too long on anything negative, so I'm just going to end it there. If you disagree with me, please hit me up in the comments. Maybe I'm not picking up on something. If you agree with me, let me know, but be respectful to the artist, of course. And if you, I should give this one a rating. I'd have to give it like a 4.6 or something like that, maybe even like a 3.7. I got to be definitive, so I'm going to have to give it a 4.3. I feel bad giving a bad score, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not terrible, but it's like, it's not even mediocre, so 4.3. Hate doing it, but that's what it is. If you agree, disagree, let me know in the comments. If you like this stuff, like, subscribe, or don't, it's your life. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, take it easy.